Going to be a very controversial video because of its ongoing debate. But I still don't understand why some people are still debating on this. I think there are some reasons to that, and I'll get to that in another video. But in this one, we are going to watch a short clip that will confirm what we as Africans have known for ages. Now, let's watch the video.
But the CT scan has one more surprise for Alejandro. Shemai's ethnicity.
Well, they have just told me that Shemai had Nubian features, which means that their ruling family was probably Nubian, and that was unexpected.
Examining Shemai's anatomy closely, the thickness of his bones and the shape of his nasal cavity, the anthropologists think he was a black African, likely from neighboring Nubia. A huge revelation that challenges the prevailing image of the Egyptian ruling class.
We always thought the ancient Egyptian elites were Mediterranean type, and in this sense, Shemai is representing the society of the frontier, in which different ethnic groups were mixed. At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shemai was Egyptian.
The archaeologist in the video is Alejandro Jimenez Serrano. He and his team found a tomb on the western bank of the Nile, opposite Aswan. And as you might have heard, the mummy was called Shemaiah. So who was Shemaiah? Not much is known about him, but the little that we know is that he was an ancient Egyptian official who later became a vizier towards the end of the 8th dynasty during the first intermediate period. And his time in office is somehow interpreted as a sign of extreme weakness of the central power. And as you might know, ancient Egypt was in decline during the 2 intermediate periods in its history. And Mr. Jimenez Serrano just discovered that as far back as the 8th dynasty, the ruling class had Nubian features. And he finds this unexpected. That's really telling, don't you think? Before we continue, kindly leave a like and subscribe to this channel, where we talk about African history and everything concerning Africa. Thank you.
I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rukwakadash. That means double honors to the Father, which is Yahweh, in the name of his Son, Yahweh Shai. Right? The true names, not that Greek name, Jesus, as they call him. Right? I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS. Shalom to the hopeful elect, preaching this word in truth and sincerity. To you ribs, to you sisters out there, living in silence and staying in order. Right? You know, this video, I mean, I don't understand why Esau is still behind as far as, you know, knowing who the true nations of the scriptures are. You know, I'm talking about low-level Edomites. You know, we come in an age of information, man. This is readily available. But you see, the thing is that the pride of Esau, he thinks he runs everything. He thinks he is everything. So he takes whatever he's heard that pertains to himself and make it about himself, you know. Because, like I said, the information is already out there. He doesn't need, he really doesn't need much searching to find this out, right? He didn't have to spend all that college money, you know, all that time, you know, being an archaeologist all his life to figure this out, man. The proof was in the scriptures the whole time, man. But, you know, Esau's a damn devil, and he's proud, man. He does not want to be corrected. And it's a beautiful thing, man. You know, because Yahweh Bashim Yahushai said that, you know, the righteous things are going to be in order, and they're going to, you know, eventually spring forth, man. And they're going to be established, right? So that's what we're waiting for, man. We watching the times, and we noticing that we're getting much closer A lot of things are going on, speedily. A lot of things are moving a lot differently. If you've been keeping your, what they say, your spiritual eye open, right? I didn't want to call it a third eye, because some people will call it that, but a lot of things are going on right now where a lot of things are being revealed. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 61 and verse 11. For as the earth bringeth forth her bud, right? And this happens usually during the spring. And coming off of the spring is the winter, which everything is dead, right? All the plants have died. In the spring, everything comes to life. That's when that's when the season and the time of the Gentiles is going to be over, right? It's going to be all death. And then, what spring forth is righteousness, right? Start from the top, 11. For the earth bringeth forth her bud, and as the garden causes the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so the Lord God, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all of the nations, man. Right? And right around this time when the righteousness is being sprung forth, man, a lot of the lies got to get put to death. Like Christianity and a lot of these false philosophies, they're going to be put to death, man. They're going to be left in the winter, in the cold. Right unto the coming of the Messiah, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, his son, Yahushai comes through and starts harvesting, right? And that's what we long are waiting for. So, as far as, Egypt goes, we know that Egypt was conquered by the Grecians, right? By the flunkies from Alexander the Great's time. But we know that, the people in Egypt were dark-skinned people, man, because how did Moses pass as an Egyptian and did not know he was an Israelite if he thought he was an Egyptian his whole life, knowing that, Pharaoh was a dark-skinned man? He had to have been dark-skinned himself, right? And this is why they pushed a Grecian complexion on the land of Egypt, because they knew they had to deceive the world, man. Esau knows that he's got the short end of the stick, and his end is much worse than all the other nations. So he moves accordingly, right? He erases history, most specifically the Israelites' history, so he could, keep them in subjection to have his kingdom last forever, right? Or so he thinks. So this is Songs of Solomon. Salakia. Salakia. Having a lot of background noise. My son's running around. This is Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5. I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar. Right? And even Kedar, which were one of the first sons of Ishmael, he was dark. And he was saying that he was as dark as him. So Abraham had a mistress called Hagar through his rib, right? That said she was too old basically to have kids, so she gave her servant onto Abraham, which he went inside of her, and Abraham was a dark-skinned man, and so came out Kedar dark as well. So he's letting you know how dark he is. He says, I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Look not upon me, because I am black, because the sun has looked upon me. right? Because what happens when the sun looks upon you or the sun is facing you? You start to change complexion into a darker hue. So letting you know that the people of Israel were dark-skinned people, right? So where did the confusion start? Where did it begin? Where did Egypt where did Egypt lose its color? Right? That is the question. Go to the book of Maccabees. We're going to start at chapter 1, verse 9. Right? It says, and after his death, right? Talking about Alexander the Great. Right? And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. Right? This is the people under Alexander the Great. So did their sons after them many years. So they basically made themselves kings, spread about, making small little kingdoms. And, you know, that's how wickedness had multiplied, man, because these people were proud and crowned themselves, right? It says, and evils were multiplied in the earth, right? And there came out of them a wicked root. Out of them came out a wicked root, right? We talk about a specific king, Antiochus, surname Ephenius. I butchered that. Son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. Right? These are the kings who multiplied. And after multiplying, they went to set out to what? To conquer, what they do best. Right? Now when we jump down to verse 16, it says, now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt. Right? So this was his plan, to reign over Egypt, that he might have dominion of 2 realms. Right? He was that greedy. He's like, you know, I never have enough. You know, exactly what they do over here. You know, they set out to conquer through false treaties in the Native Americans' land. They do it with a forked tongue. This is how we know who the wicked is. Right? Verse 17. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude. Right? Because war is always on their heart. Ever since Babylon, aka America, has been established, we've been at war every single year, right? It says, wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, right? This is the king of Egypt. At the time, they weren't as strong. So, you know, because the Lord made it that way. The Lord made it so prophecy could be fulfilled, right? I think it's the book of Daniel's. Forgot what chapter it was. It says here, was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. So the king of Egypt was afraid. He ran away. They took all the spoils, and then, you know, settled there. That's the beginning of the end of, you know, the kingdom of Egypt. So let me go. I think it's Ezekiel 30. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 30 and verse 1. The word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai came again unto me, saying, O son of man, prophesy and say, thus said the Lord God Yahweh, how ye woe worth the day, for the day is near, even the day of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is near, a cloudy day. It shall be in the time of the heathen, and the sword shall come upon Egypt, in great pain shall be in Ethiopia, right? This is the prophecy of Egypt falling. When the slain shall fall in Egypt, and they shall take away her multitude, and her foundation shall be broken down, right? And it goes into the cities of how they were destroyed by the sword. Thus, this prophecy had to come to pass, and Esau to be revealed as the wicked man. The Lord does things in perfect balance. So, by studying the scriptures, Esau would have found this out. The low-level Edomites, they would have found this out, man, just with the scriptures alone. You don't need to go to college for that. All right, but this wasn't given for everybody. This is only given for the elect, the 144,000, the 1/3 to be saved out of from Israel, not anybody else. So that's why the Lord gave everybody else a strong delusion or stumbling blocks, right? This is John chapter 8 and verse 32. It says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free," right? Because getting rid of these strongholds that society has given us, history and science and all these things. Once you let these things go and gravitate towards the scriptures, then you shall be set free mentally. Right? You'll be free from deception. And you'll be woken up like the Matrix showed. Red pill, blue pill. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom. On to the next one.